where great cigars meet great conversations. This is Poppa P's Podcast. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Poppa P's Podcast. I am Scott Partridge, also known as Poppa P around here. Over on my far left is my co-host, partner in crime, Del Hickman. Back behind the scenes, we have Miss Emmy. Miss Emmy keeps us on time, keeps us in line, and that's been the hardest part of her job.
Well, she makes us look good.
She makes us look really good.
Edit.
And we promise, at some point, we're going to get her over here in the hot seat. We promise.
Yep.
We got a very special guest today, and sometimes timing is everything. And lo and behold, somebody walked in our front door on a day that we were recording, and we said, "Guess what you're doing?"
Is it the right place, right time, or wrong time?
So this is Dennis Meehan. He's with Perdomo Cigars.
Cheers.
And he is our rep here at Poppa P's, and you cover...
The Nashville market is my home market, and it stretches from Murfreesboro to Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And I go down to Fayetteville, and I go as far northwest as Paducah, Kentucky, out of this home market.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spend a week up in Kentucky where I service Louisville, Lexington, and cross the river into Cincinnati. And then 2.5, 3 days out East Tennessee where I'll take care of the markets of Chattanooga and Knoxville.
Well, before we kind of get into everything, let's talk about what we're all smoking today. And I am smoking a Perdomo 10th anniversary Maduro. I'm smoking the Epicure.
As am I.
Which is one of my favorites.
Oh, and today I have the 20th anniversary Maduro, and it's just so good. Thank you, Dennis.
They're all great. I mean, when I interviewed for the job, Nick Perdomo asked me, "Do you smoke my cigars?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." I've been smoking them, probably since 18 or 19 when I first became a regular cigar smoker in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This little dude right here, the 10th anniversary Maduro, was released in 21, and when it hit Regal's Pipe and Tobacco in Fort Wayne, it became an instant go-to cigar for me, and it made me grab anything that had the Perdomo name on it.
Wow.
Well, they're always, all my years at this, they've been a very consistent cigar. Nick is second to none at quality control. And any cigar, every once in a while you get one with a bad draw or something, but it's few and far between with Perdomo.
Fewer and farther between, we hope, because every cigar that comes out of our factory is draw tested,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Nick is 95-ish +% vertically integrated.
Yeah.
Gives him complete control of every aspect of the quality, and prides himself on that consistency, and the draw testing really makes. And the wrappers and the rollers, I understand, when they make a cigar, they put a signature on it, and so when it fails a draw test, they know where to take it. Mm-hmm. They take it back to that rolling table, then they will reconstruct the cigar and bring it back to be tested again. So
yeah, that's fascinating.
The attention to detail and the dedication to detail, I don't know who else in the industry measures up to those standards.
Well, and before we get too far into it, for those that are wondering, I'm having just a little bit of a pour of Four Roses small batch today.
Always a good choice.
And you two gentlemen are...
Del, what is it? What is in this glass?
This is Hendry from Napa, California, Zinfandel. And it's just a really, really nice wine, very approachable and very affordable.
So speaking of spirits and wines, and tell us a little bit about your background in pre the cigar world.
I was going to say it comes right out of this world.
I
got a job the day I turned 21 back in, holy smokes, 1989. I got a job selling alcohol. And I worked for a liquor store in downtown Fort Wayne, and went from a stock boy to manager, and then went from retail to the wholesale side. I worked for a distribution company in Indiana called National Wine and Spirits from 95 to 2000. And I was selling wine. At that point, it was just selling grocery store wine. So I'd call on a bunch of the local Kroger stores and other, the local Scott's, the local grocery store chains. And I had a few of the smaller independent package stores in and around the Fort Wayne area. Stretched I touched about 5 or 6 counties with the territory, and then I worked for them for a while. I left the wine industry in 2000, then came back was managing again a liquor store in 2006, and then jumped back in the wholesale side as a liquor wholesaler. So I went from the wine side of the book to the liquor side of the book. And I worked that job from 9 to 13, I think, 9 to 13, 13 and a half maybe. And then, but I always stayed in the business. I always kept my thumb on. I was a bartender, in and out of bars, restaurants. People knew I bartended, so I did a lot of private parties and catering events. Then the job I left to move down here to take this job with Perdomo Cigars was a bartending job. And then at day I had the company was called Joseph DeQuees in Roanoke, Indiana. We had a small emporium where we had a Wagyu lunch counter and frozen meat in the freezer, and then we had a pretty cool little wine room in the back. So I was able to curate and buy for that wine room, and had a lot of fun educating the customers that come in, and of course I had a lot of fun learning from the reps who would sell to us. So
Well, I'm sure as you ventured into the cigar world and started learning about what goes into cigars and the whole process, and I'm sure you quickly discovered how similar the industries are.
Such an incredibly smooth transition. The amount of knowledge that I was able to pick up in the liquor industry is you're exactly right, Scott, because we're, the wine world, you talk about, pardon my pronunciation, terroir, the ground, the climate, the plant, how, why does Cabernet in your backyard taste different from Cabernet in my backyard? Right. And we live across the street, and it's just taking that knowledge and learning now what I'm learning about the importance of the valleys where we have where our fields are down in Nicaragua. The difference between the Jalapa Valley, which is the core of this, happens to be the core of the 10th anniversary cigars, versus the viticulture and the soils of the Esteli Valley. It's just the differences are so vast, and they produce different plants and different cigar experiences. And I'm thinking, it sounds like Cabernet. Sounds like Pinot Noir and the, sounds like Pinot Noir in the Burgundy Valley. It's just, everything has just been such an incredibly, for me professionally, a sensible transition from one field earth to the next, from the earth, yeah. So.
Yeah, and it is. It's the industries. When I say the industries, particularly I'm talking about the process. It's so similar between the world of cigars and the world of spirits and wine, and and I think it's two of the last. There's not many industries left out there that are as hands-on, that haven't turned into just a big production assembly line. I mean, it's truly, when we talk premium hand-rolled cigars,
there's only one way you can make a hand-rolled cigar, isn't there?
It's by hand. And so many people don't realize, even being in this as many years that I have, there's rarely a day or a week goes by that I'm not, having to explain to somebody. They truly, when we say premium hand-rolled cigars, a lot of times they overlook or don't realize when we say that, they literally put the bands on by hand. That, every part of this is done by hand.
Right.
I can't wait to see it. I get to go down the second week of February to our factories in Esteli.
Oh, wow.
So I'll get to see it
That's
first
great
hand, if you will.
Well, I think this is close, but the tobacco from being taken from the nursery and put in the field to the time it's put the the band and put in the cellophane, that tobacco has been touched about 200 times by a human.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out. I will find out. I will find out in February.
Because you got to think about the aging process before it's rolled, the aging process after it's rolled, much less the making.
Not to mention the turning of the pilones as they age.
Yeah. So it's touched like every day. It's fascinating. When we say hand rolled, it's really by hand from when those plants are put in the ground.
Yeah, and my first trip, with a cigar company to one of their factories, I was just enamored by it. And like, I mentioned a few minutes ago, they literally put these bands on by hand. But you would think there's this big technical template or something. No, it's a little piece of board, and they got a magic marker line on it where the bottom of that band goes, and they're just so good at what they do. And Tell us a little bit about the process going to work for Perdomo Cigars. It has to be a little bit intimidating. You knew about cigars prior to getting into this, so you had to know that, okay, I'm interviewing for one of the truly great companies in our industry.
People ask me, how'd you get this job? And the honest to God's truth is eavesdropping. I was at my local club in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and sitting next to the card game. It was a particularly long day, and I was just sitting in the corner, minding my own business, enjoying a cigar. And the rep for Perdomo Cigars is a member at that shop, and I've known Nate for 2 or 3 years at this point. And he was playing cards. He said, "Hey, who needs a job? Who needs a job? We got an opportunity down in Nashville, in Tennessee. We need somebody to work 10." And I was really happy with where I was working. It was a perfect situation for me. I got to do what I felt I do best every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard Nate say that. And I looked up, and he was talking to the table, and I'm over here in the corner minding my own business. So 2 or 3 days later, I texted him. I said, "I'm sorry, Nate, but I couldn't help but overhear." I said, were you just talking smack at the card table, or is there a real opportunity?" He goes, "No, there's a real opportunity in Nashville." And okay. And about 5 days later, "Nate, I can't get this out of my head." And he just sent back a laughing emoji or something at me. Kind of introduced him to what I'd done. We only knew each other from being at the shop. We didn't really know each other like good friends do. And I said, "This is what I've done with my past, and this is what I'm doing now, and what do you think would be a good fit?" He said, "Well, send me your resume." So I sent him my resume, and I'm thinking, I'm 450 miles from the territory. I'm 57 years old. There's no way in heck they're going to hire me, So let's just turn this into a good exercise in what it means to go through an interview process, because I haven't gone through an interview process in years. And here I am. So it was just a really great culmination of my work experience. Like we touched on earlier, the fact that I've had so much, those 2 jobs that combined for almost 14 years of experience in the wholesale industry with wine and liquor. Add to that the retail experience I had in managing liquor stores, and just the service industry, being a bartender, and knowing the importance of taking care of a customer's needs. And all that came together. I became a regular cigar smoker somewhere around 2014 or 15. And, I thoroughly enjoy the time I spent smoking cigars, be it by myself, with a group of regulars at my home shops, or walking into a new shop and meeting new people. But it was perfect storm, the right place, right time. I mean, everything really came together, and Nick and his team in Miami really, I think, took a chance and that trusted me, and I'm doing everything I can to live up to that trust and to deliver what they expected to get when they hired me. So so far. I started in April. Here we are in December. So what's that? 7 months, 8 months, and I'm just.
Well, if it means anything to you. You're working for a fantastic company and great people. And, you were here a few weeks ago when you were here with Nick, and it was your first round of events traveling around with Nick himself.
What
and
an experience that was.
I think you saw here what Perdomo Cigars means to our business and our shop here. And, how much did you learn that week?
I can't measure. I can't measure it, because what I learned the most that week. I mean, take the information that Nick was able to share with me at the events, the information I was able to gather or listen to, watching him engage with customers and listening to him talk to customers, is one thing. And the lessons and the teaching and training that he gave me as we rode around. I mean, we worked together from 9. I picked him up at 9 a.m. every morning. We worked till 10 to midnight every night. I mean, they were long, productive, amazing days. But the thing that I took out of that week, more than the knowledge, was the feeling of being around Nick Perdomo. I mean, the force, the drive, the determination, the passion, everything about it was something you can't measure.
Well, he his whole story it's just great. And one thing about Nick, is he is truly, in my view, one of the most hands-on brand owners in the industry, to the point where, Nick, over the years, and I feel very blessed to have gotten to know him and earn, just like you as a rep, as a retailer, grown to earn his trust. I don't mind telling you, before you became part of that organization, I was getting calls from Nick. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't too long after you went to work from him, the calls started again. Scott, how is Dennis doing?
Right.
He wasn't doing that in a sense to be just checking on you. It was more checking on us, because his retailers,
They drive the bus, don't you guys?
yeah, and he truly understands that as successful as he has been in life with this, and he didn't. This wasn't handed to him on a silver platter. I mean,
he's the story I heard so many. Also, I've heard the story a number of times, but repeatedly that week, because every night was a new event. Mm-hmm. Every night was a new group of people. So the stories were repetitive, yes, but they had to be, because it's a whole new it's a whole new audience every night. But he started rolling cigars in his garage, and he left a perfectly good job as an air traffic controller, and much to his dad's chagrin. And he said, "Dad, this is what I want to do," and so he learned from the ground up, and then after buying tobacco and rolling in cigars, and then he grew, and then he started buying farms, and he learned what farming is, and he learned the science of the soil, the science and the timing of the sun and the rains and the cloud cover. Why does the Jalapa Valley produce, a softer, more palatable tobacco? It's because it's the cloud cover. So, they look at so many aspects, and some of the stories he said about, just their farming techniques, and just how they naturally mitigate bug problems or pest problems. And it's just, he's a farmer as much as he's a businessman, and that brings, I think, a layer to the quality of the Perdomo cigars that many, there may be a handful of other companies that don't have that depth of hands-on farming knowledge from ownership.
Well, to the extent with the new cigar, the Legacy, they've created a new hybrid
plant.
Right,
on their own. They took a Cameroon seed and they cross-pollinated it using hands and paintbrushes with a Cuban seed plant. And they pulled the stamens and they did pollination by hand. Harvested the seeds from that new plant and planted the new hybrid plant. Grew that plant in the shade. And when they say they grew it in the shade, they stretched cheesecloth across the top of it, but they also curtained the sides of the crop. So it was completely shaded, protected from, bugs, birds, elements as much as a cheesecloth will provide. They grew, so that was a very labor intensive
well,
project.
and that particular cigar you're speaking of, you can taste that. When I say taste that, it's truly a unique flavor profile.
Yes.
That was created with that process.
From a unique plant. I mean, it's the core of that, and it's cool because we call it the Nicaraguan shade grown. Mm-hmm. And after being aged for 10 years, they use the shade. They use that tobacco as the wrapper on the Nicaraguan shade grown. But to keep the consistency in the Legacy line, we use that shade grown tobacco as the binder of the Connecticut wrap and of the Maduro wrap. So you'll get that note, that unique note, and that flavor profile consistently throughout all three wrappers in the Legacy line. So, and it's the other thing, the beautiful thing, the story about that is that's Nicholas Perdomo's first cigar in the industry, named it Legacy to honor his father's legacy in all he's done for the tobacco industry and the Perdomo family and the Perdomo employees. But also, I think it's a pretty cool way to look at the term legacy and to think of the process and think of what it means to be a legacy. And Nicholas made that for his father, and he is the living legacy. He will become, he's growing into that. He's growing into that role. So it's a beautiful. It's just been a beautiful thing to.
And that's neat for us to hear, because we've got an episode coming up in the future that's basically who's going to fill their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And, we think about we're getting fewer and fewer family-owned and operated companies left out there.
I think across all businesses.
And we often, as retailers here and even consumers, we find ourselves, well, what's going to happen when so-and-so isn't with us anymore? Is that brand going to be able to carry on? And so it's very cool that to see what Nicholas has done. And
I tell you what, I've been lucky enough. They transitioned me into Nicholas. So when I call Nicholas several times a day on my pre-stop visits, and boy, that apple didn't fall far from the tree. The passion he has for the industry, not just Perdomo, but for the industry, and the passion he has for the knowledge of what they have created and what they continue to manage and grow, and the passion he has to share it with me and the rest of us reps is it's absolutely contagious. It just really drives every call, every visit, and every purpose to have that somebody with that much. I keep using the word passion, but I can't think of a better word to use.
Well, we as actually me, had a incredible experience in my first PCA show. This in April of this year, well, in 2025, and one of the neat hours that I had was we were at the Perdomo booth, which is awesome, and in the spring of 2025, we were in transition here at Poppa P's. I think that's a nice way of saying we didn't have a sales rep. And because of Poppa P's relationship with Mr. Perdomo, when we went into the booth, the national sales manager came straight up to Scott, and Mr. Perdomo, Nick, comes right up to Scott and says hello and introduced, and Nick says, "We've got a guy." And he told us your name is Dennis, and he's going to be there in May. June, 1st of June, and getting him trained. Everything's been identified. And so we met you unofficially by name in April of 2025. But during that hour, 45 minutes you spend in each of those booths as you go around at that, we didn't have a sales rep. Mm-hmm. And so Nick, Mr. Perdomo, says, "Nicholas, come over here." Just like a dad would say.
Well, yeah. It's like
he goes, "Sit down here," and he remembered my name, which was great because that was only the second time I'd met him. "Sit down here with Scott and Dell and take their order, son." And we had a great conversation with Nicholas.
Yep.
And Nicholas, when you hear this, it almost felt like it was a little bit of relief for you because at that show was when they were releasing and announcing Legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, needless to say, for those 3 or 4 days, Nicholas was running around kind of hard, and talking a lot. So he spent about 30 minutes with us and talking about, and Scott's known Nicholas for a long time as well. So that was a real special event for me and for our shop, for actually Nicholas to talk to us a little bit directly about, for a few minutes directly about the Legacy. But more importantly, he took our order.
Yeah.
Nick will they're to a man and woman, it's just, what can we do to help you?
Mm-hmm. That's what
can we do to help you? How can we get your order? How can we get your business grown? When I was, so I'm guessing it was Ralph who met you. Mm-hmm. Ralph is our national sales director. I think that's the official title. I flew down to Miami, so I moved down here to Tennessee, April 19th or 20th. I don't know the dates, but I flew down to Miami, and Ralph picked me up Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We go to breakfast and, sit at breakfast and get to know each other, chit-chat a little bit, talk shop, as much as you talk shop at breakfast when you're still trying to get to know each other, what are we going to do today? And so it was 50 hours of really intense training. My brother said it best. He said, "Well, they training you with are they feeding you with a fire hose?" He said, and that's, it was coming fast and furious. Michael Giannini has just celebrated his 1-year anniversary with the company last week. He's come on to help assist Ralph in his role as national sales director. Imagine being in charge of the entire country. So Michael's stepped in, as I understand, to kind of work with Ralph in that department. And the two of them, So we'd get to the, Ralph would pick me up at 8, breakfast. We'd usually be in the humidor around 9 o'clock in the morning, and they'd quiz me. They'd walk me through Perdomo's got a humidor full of every cigar we make, and that's where the education started. Tell me about this cigar, tell me about that cigar, because they gave me a lot of homework to do before I got to Miami. So let's make the time in Miami. There's a thoughtfulness in the efficiency process of Perdomo. Let's teach you as much as we can of just the rote memorization and that kind of stuff. So when you're here with us, we can really get into the processes and really get into the nuts and bolts of the operation. So we started in the humidor, then we went to the conference room, and it was till 6 o'clock at night. And it was intense, and it was thorough, it was repetitive, it was complete, and it all made sense when I learned that Ralph was a 28-year career with the Hialeah Police down there, near to Miami, and he had I served several years as a weapons trainer. So you can imagine the amount of training, the type of training you have to do to somebody who's going to carry a weapon and be civically responsible for it. But the training didn't stop in Miami when Ralph flew to Nashville that following Monday. So he took it from the classroom to the streets, and that closing of that circle and the completion of that just really solidified those initial lessons and really gave me such an incredible base to start, because the next week I drove to Kentucky. So Ralph worked with me, and he introduced me to Scott. He introduced me to the key players here in this Nashville market, and we saw as many accounts as we could see, and then Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock, see you, buddy. And I'm on my own. Yeah. But the confidence I had being on my own after those 2 weeks of the most complete training I've ever had was truly remarkable. And again, it's a testament to the Perdomo way, to the degrees and the extents they go.
So what have you, since you've got into this, and you got, how long have you got now under your belt since you
since
went
April?
to work?
My first, I guess, because when Ralph came up, it was the last week of April. So my first week alone was the first week of May.
Yeah.
So May to now. So what's that?
So
12,
just
7
in
months.
that period of time, what's the one takeaway from our industry that maybe you've found? I mean, have you been surprised at how well the industry by and large gets along with each other? I mean, we're here in a market where
I'm surprised at how similar shops are. I mean, the only shops I ever visited were the two or three in Fort Wayne. I went to one in Indianapolis, and I went to one in Maryville, Indiana. And anytime you walk into a cigar shop, the familiar, it's just like Cheers. I mean, you feel like you're in the same room because of the comfort level. I call the tobacco, I call the cigar the great equalizer, because, when I first became a regular cigar smoker, I was working 3 part-time jobs. I was just a mess. I'm sitting down smoking with a heart surgeon, a retired heart surgeon, three or four lawyers were regulars in the room, a couple of businessmen, and I'm this guy who was sitting there in his work overalls and just got, I just parked my window washing truck and I was getting ready to go bartend. But there was just this community of comfort, of we're all the same, and it's just, we're in the cigar shop, and what you do outside the cigar shop really doesn't matter to who you are inside the cigar shop.
Have you been surprised, particularly here in the Middle Tennessee market and stuff? A lot of our customers, they have their home shop. We've got our regulars, but have you been surprised? I'm sure you encounter it. When you're working the Middle Tennessee Nashville market, you'll see somebody walking here that, I saw you a couple days.
I see guys. I saw a guy
down at Spring Hill, or I saw you
2 weeks ago. I saw a guy in Murfreesboro, and the very next day I saw him in Clarksville.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the extremes of my territory.
Well, that's
right?
2 hours apart.
Yeah, and that was, hey, I saw. Yes, you did. And there we were. So, but.
And I think that's one of the great.
The loyalty to a smoker's home shop is true.
Yeah. Yep.
But the willingness and the like you said, the community. I recognize the cigar, dealing with the cigar owners and the shop owners and managers. There's a level of camaraderie You know, everybody's, you know, all, you know, all water, raising water raises all ships. You know, everybody wants everybody to do well around here. There doesn't seem to be, yeah, screw that guy. He's my competition. You know, there seems to be, gosh, I hope he does well. You know, if he does well, then we'll do well. And, you know, there's that kind of camaraderie that I've seen throughout all of my territory.
And by the way, I'm not sure whether that's going to pick up. I know it's picking up in our headphones. If you're wondering, what the heck is that noise? That's our bartender getting ice. And the bar is over there. The ice machine is back there. So we are in a, we're coming to you from, we refer to it as Studio GR. It's the green room here at Poppa P.
There it is.
Well, Dennis, we could go on and on and on, but we love having you here.
Well, I'm honored. This is the very first time, my very first experience with a podcast. I was telling Del, I don't think I've even listened to 5 maybe. So
yeah,
well, there's at least one more you're going to listen to.
I'm an absolute newbie to the whole concept and notion of what it is to be a podcast.
You certainly have done a great job for us, and I know that feeling is mutual with the other accounts that you deal with. And as I said earlier, you're working for a great company, so I commend you. It's not easy to. That's why I asked earlier about the process and the interview and stuff, because you know, Nick is very particular and knows what he wants.
Quick, funny little story. It was St. Patrick's Day. I'm in the basement of O'Sullivan's Irish Pub in Fort Wayne, Indiana, talking to an old. I used to work there back in '89 and '90, and Floyd has been there. He still works there. Mm-hmm. Where's Floyd? Floyd's in the basement doing paperwork. Okay, great. So I go down to the basement of this Irish pub on St. Patrick's Day. And I look at my phone, it's ringing. He goes, you need to get that? He goes, I don't know anybody in Miami. And I'm reaching across the screen of my phone to hit the red button. Now, wait a minute, I do know somebody in Miami. So I took and hey, Dennis, it's Nick Perdomo, you know. And I said, absolutely, I got time to take this phone call, you know. Yeah. So in the basement of O's. So
Nick is truly, the whole family is truly caring people. They never ever, despite all the successes, has lost sight of where they come from. They've never lost sight of the fact that without the retailers, they won't be where they are. And it's just like us as retailers. Without the consumers, we won't be where we are. And you know, to that point, you know, you're working for a great company. And you know, a real quick story on my end. I had some heart surgery 2 or 3 years ago, and you know, and Nick, you know, called me personally just to check on me, and you just don't get that a whole lot in the industry. So
it means a lot.
It means a lot. So we're excited about the future of what we're going to do here and where we'll go.
I'll sit in anytime you guys want. We can do some
already
training.
very
we
successful
could do,
with Perdomo, and I see it growing even more. So, Dale, you got any final words?
I have a feeling that this isn't the last time on Poppa P's podcast. We're going to talk to Dennis.
Yeah, we'd love to get you.
I called Nicholas on before this started, and we thought we could loop him in sometime. We could loop in Nick.
Yeah,
we could loop in anybody.
Would love to do
just
that.
Just to incorporate more about Perdomo and bring more knowledge to your viewers.
Yeah,
well, that'd be really
everything
nice.
From training sessions, the stories. It just. I'm honored to be.
Well, where can you get Perdomo cigars? You can get them at Poppa P Smoke Shop and Lounge. We are at 1935 Mallory Lane, Suite 220 in beautiful Franklin, Tennessee. And we encourage you to follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. Soon to be, believe it or not, are you listening, Miss Emmy? Soon to be on TikTok.
Oh boy, really? That's news to me
We're
as
jumping.
Well.
We're jumping into that. So,
yes.
If you got it, we always love to hear your feedback. And as far as the podcast, you can follow us and listen to us anywhere that you get your podcast, YouTube, TV, plus all of the streaming things. And as always, if you got any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at podcast@poppapeace.com, and of course visit our website to stay up to date, which is www.poppapeace.com.
And if you want to come in person, 1935 Mallory Lane in Franklin, Tennessee, in the Cool Springs area.
conveniently located 2 doors down from Cool Springs Wines and Spirits. Dennis, we greatly appreciate it.
I can't tell you how happy I am to. This is great. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this, and
It's
and
been
I
great.
do look forward to more visits.
I'm so glad this worked out. Thank you, Dennis.
We will do it again. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.